Hello again. I'm here with Christiaan de Lint, Managing Partner of Headway Capital. Good morning, Christiaan. Lovely to see you. Please introduce yourself and your firm.
So my name is Christiaan de Lint. I'm a partner with Headway Capital. And at Headway Capital, we back private equity sponsors on a deal-by-deal basis, mostly independent sponsors.
What are these independent sponsors and how does the model work?
So independent sponsors are private equity professionals that operate on a model where they do not have committed capital. So what they do, they go and identify a target that they want to acquire, and in parallel, they raise money to acquire that target. So they operate on a deal-by-deal model.
So, Christiaan, why is the market doing so well?
The market is doing very well because it's growing really, really fast right now as market participants start to understand the real merit of that model, which means basically for independent sponsor, it's economics, deal-by-deal carry, but also much more flexibility in their approach and a little bit sponsors that want to go back to the origin of private equity, rolling up their sleeves, working with the assets. And for investors, it's basically the opportunity to outperform, to work on a selection where they can select deals on a deal-by-deal basis. They can take these type of decisions. Much better alignment with the sponsors, and also they don't pay fees on committed capital.
So, Christiaan, what are the current misconceptions around the model? That seems to be quite new, I would think.
It is quite new, and I think one of the misconceptions was always that independent sponsors are people that are not able to raise funds. But what has become apparent right now is some of the best private equity professionals simply do not want to have funds. So it's not to say that the independent sponsor model is better than the fund model, but it's just now emerging as a very, very viable alternative to the fund model.
And Christiaan, what's the size of the market? And can you make a prediction where you think it's going to be in 5 years?
So there's very little hard data in that market.
Yes.
I think conservative estimates on the number of independent sponsors in the US and Europe, it's at least 2,000, predominantly in the US. And there is some data on the volumes of transactions done by independent sponsors. Holly and Loki published that data. It was about 31 billion in 2023, more than doubling to 65 billion in 2025. So if I had to make a bold projection, it's probably going to be a couple hundred billions by 2030.
And Christiaan, if it's going so fast and you're going so quickly, why is the model here to stay?
That's an interesting question. Historically, or not that long ago, people thought that the independent sponsor model was a route to raising funds. You work with a firm, you create a track record, you raise a fund. Now there's really interesting data now that actually shows that when you ask independent sponsors whether they want to raise a fund, a lot of people start saying yes. But then they really discover the merit of this model. And if you ask successful independent sponsor after a few years, do you still want to raise a fund? The vast majority actually stays no, which really shows that they believe in the merit of this as an established asset class.
And Christiaan, finally, are there any other key takeaways you want to share?
I think we briefly touched on the growth of the market. For me, it's just the beginning. And I think in the coming years, we'll see the emergence of independent sponsors as a real sub-asset class within private equity.
Thank you very much. Great pleasure.
You're welcome. My pleasure.